Are we recording? Y'all hear me? Excuse me. All right. I think this sound is good. We're all set up. Got a couple topics to go over. Episode 8. Insert thumbnail here. Yeah, episode 8. It's been a fun week. I don't need these headphones in, I don't think. I've just been organizing the house and building poi. And my homie came over, my homie Patches. We made some beats, we made some music. Yeah, hope y'all have had a good few days. I'm posting a day late. Today's Monday, I'm recording today. This will be uploaded Tuesday. And yeah, I just didn't film on Sunday. Again, it's kind of cool not having like there's like no rules to the podcast. So it was just nice to be like, I don't really want to record today when it was Sunday, and then just decided to record today instead. Slowly getting some stuff on the walls and just getting everything dialed in. Hence the name of the podcast, Do It Again, But Better. So hopefully each episode is better than before. Got my coffee and my Things on Strings mug. I've got my random little toys other than poi. My skateboard, my smaller skateboard, and my even smaller skateboard. And my CBD water, per usual. Here's your ASMR can opening. Yeah. Yep, we're in this. I had y'all leave some questions in the... Actually, I didn't even check the comments section. On YouTube and then also on Instagram. Yeah, so I just got a bunch of stuff written down. I have some questions written down, and I'll pull up the YouTube questions right now. Yeah, someone asked what Two Fellas was, because I've been posting about Two Fellas. Two Fellas, T-O-O, fellas. Like, we're too much fella. It's me and my homie Patches. He's been making music, making beats and stuff, and then we've been writing some lyrics and coming out with some songs, and we just spent like 2 days on the third song we've came out with, and it's crazy how the more you do something, it just gets easier and easier. Not necessarily easier, but it starts making more sense, and then you start critiquing your own work, and then you want it to be better and better and better. So yeah, he came down for he's from Eugene, so he came down for 2 days, and we just grinded out this song. I had some lyrics, some stuff already written, and then we just kind of freestyled some stuff. And so yeah, if you go on the Spotify and look up Two Fellas, T-O-O, fellas with a Z, that's there's only one song up there, and it was a freestyle I did. But yeah, we've been making some tunes for y'all, and it's just fun to do. Yeah, it's just fun. The goal is to put the music on TikTok and have people use it on TikTok, and it'd be cool if it blew up or whatever, and we were able to make some money off of it. But it's just fun. It's just cool to make music. I haven't made music in such a long time. I was in bands growing up, just bands with friends and stuff, and little acoustic sessions with people. I just haven't made any music in 4 or 5 years with anybody. We plugged in my bass to his Ableton and his computer and stuff, and I hadn't played through an amp with my bass in 6 or 7 years. I really don't remember the last time I played an amplified bass. It was just so much fun. We were just jamming out, and we actually got some decent stuff recorded with just him doing some drum stuff and me doing some bass, and it was fun. It's just fun. It's nice to not be so obsessive over just poi, right? I have to remind myself that it's okay to have other hobbies, and that if you do anything too much, you're going to get burnt out on it. So I still doing tricks and stuff, but I just did the 100 tricks 100 days. So I was I'm going to give myself a month of just not even worrying about doing tricks. And then I realize that no matter what I do, I'm going to get obsessed over it. So that's why I'm hesitant sometimes to start new endeavors or a new hobby or something like that. It's because I know I'm going to become obsessive over it. Right now, I'm obsessing over organizing. All of a sudden, I just want to organize everything, and I want to get rid of stuff that's just in the way, and everything's sticking out. All of a sudden, since the new year, everything in my house that feels out of place, everything's just sticking out, and I'm like, that's shouldn't be there. I should get rid of that. And yeah, I've just been trying to organize more. My finances are more organized. My tax stuff is for 2021. I'm already like on this nice little kick of keeping more organized with just like receipts and purchases. Usually I just do it all at once, and then I'm dreading tax day. But I've just realized that if you don't just wait to do it all at once, it's not an issue. It's almost kind of fun. That's what I'm saying, is I start to enjoy doing something and then I obsess over it. So I feel like right now I'm obsessing over organizing my house, and then also it sounds funny to say it out loud, but I'm like freestyling a lot. I'm not gonna do it on the mic right now. I'm still nervous to do it in front of people, but it just feels good. It's like the same, or like coming up with rhyme schemes. It feels the same as spinning poi in my brain. Like obviously I'm not physically doing these tricks, but it's the same of like, oh, here's a trick, or here's a word, or here's a reference, and it's like, how do you tie it in to a sequence, right? Here's like a cool trick is almost like a quick little 2 bars, right? Little four bars. And then it's like, how can you tie in that trick to another trick that's somewhat related? Like, how do they fit together? It feels a lot like writing rhymes. It's crazy. And it's just as frustrating too. Like, we definitely reached some points of like, I was like, I think I'm just over it, dude. I was like, I think I'm just over it. Because we just been playing the beat over and over and over and looking at the words, and like you just hit that block, right? You hit the plateau of like, do you want to work through the hardest part so that you can feel the next like break, or then you can finally stop? You're like, okay, now it makes sense. Now that we see the progress finally. It doesn't feel like you're not having any progress until you do, and you go on to the next step. And yeah, luckily we realized that we just can't play the same beat for too long. If that one beat starts to get annoying, put on, what was that? Oh, it's my cat. Hold on. Come on. Yeah, if we have the beat playing for too long, it's like just put on a new beat with the same BPM, and hi little, with the same BPM, and it just gets you out of the like, and then just start freestyling some stuff, or take a break. Like, it really comes down to taking a break and changing up the beat. Hi little kitten. Every time I swear she knows when I'm recording. Maybe she hears me talk and then she comes out here. She wants to come hang out. But every time I start recording the podcast, my cat wants to come hang out. You want to come up here? This is April. This is the shop cat. Probably seen her story posts and stuff. I scored her. I didn't score her. I got her when I first moved to town. Met some people in town, and the place they were living, I guess it was only this one. Yeah, I met a friend in town. The place they were living, there's a bunch of cats. There's a bunch of people living there, and they just didn't let her go inside. And she had like 2 litters already, and I went over there and I was like, oh, little kitten. And I've been trying to, cause my cat got hit by a car like 2 years ago. And ever since it happened, I was trying to pet cats, and I'd see a little cat and I'd be like, oh, little kitten, come here. Like, but no cats would let me pet them for like a year and a half. It just wouldn't, they would just split. Like, I just couldn't pet a cat for like, I mean, obviously if I go hang out at someone's house and they had cats, I could pet their cat, but like wild street cats, outside cats would never approach me, which was weird. I don't know, usually I feel like I can approach cats and it's cool. But then I went over to the place this little cat, April, was living outside. She'd had 2 litters, and they let her go in like the garage, but it was cold, and she jumped right in my lap, and I was like, oh, little kitten, oh my God. And then my friend was like, yeah, you can have her if you want. Like the people who live here don't really like her, and they're kind of annoyed because she's a girl cat, and she was going into heat. So I think that's why they never got her fixed, and that's why she'd had all these litters and little kitten, and so they were just kind of like annoyed of female cat going into heat every few weeks and whining and stuff. So I got her, and I got her spayed after I got her pretty much right when the pandemic hit. So it took like a couple months to get in there and the whole procedure. But yeah, she's the best cat ever. She follows me around like a little dog. It's crazy. It's like usually cats are, I mean, she is very like I don't know exactly know the word, hangs out alone and stuff, but she really like follows me around and it's like she's my little shadow. I've never had a cat. I've only had a few cats, but I've never had a cat that's so much like a little dog. It's crazy. Yeah. She's awesome. She's the best. Is your purring going to be in the mic? I wonder if they can hear your purring. Yeah. Oh, yes. We were talking about. Well, we were talking about getting obsessed with stuff and new having hobbies and interests change, and you get like obsessing, or I at least obsess over things. Right? I'll obsess with it. It's almost like I just need to get it out of my system. Like if I know. Yeah, like if I'm just continuing to think about something, it's like just kind of how's a good way to explain it? Like I guess organizing is a good example. Like typically there's usually I'm kind of a messy person, I won't lie, but recently I've just been trying to get everything as organized as possible. I guess because it gives me that like that dopamine hit or whatever. Like all of this, like your interests change and your desires change and your what makes your brain feel good changes. Yeah, I've never felt so clear-minded ever. It's crazy. Yeah, just a little bit of organization and a little bit of like clearing stuff out. Like this whole room, I've decided this whole room is just for I have my music stuff in here. It's going to be for the podcast and it's going to be for doing emails and computer work. And I'm just going to keep it open. It's very open. It feels clean. It feels spacious. Whereas the shop is like, how do you get as much stuff in there to fit correctly? Like the shop is always an ever changing room. Stuff's always being shifted around and space is being utilized better. And then all the overstock is in the garage. So I have the garage. Yeah, like the garage is full of, it's like just boxes. And then the shop is bins and shelves and work tables and everything everywhere. And then I have even my bedroom and my clothes and stuff. Like I moved everything around. I saw something online about, I realized my whole life my bed has been in the corner of my room. I've always pushed my bed into the corner, into like the farthest corner from the door, so that the head and the side were up against either wall. And I realized that it made like the other corners of the room feel unused. Like it just seemed you would just go from the door to the bed and there was no like it's space efficient, but it didn't feel efficient for my mind, if that makes sense. It didn't feel mentally efficient. So now I moved it. You walk in and my bed is in the middle of the far wall from the door, and then there's just like a shelf and my dresser, one of my dressers, and I have another dresser in the closet. But it's more open and it feels more evened out, and it just feels more like flush and balanced. It just feels better. It's crazy how feng shui, right? Feng shui is a real thing, and just having things feel good and smooth and organized. Yeah. It feels really good. My brain's been feeling really good. I've been like building a schedule more and trying to actually stick to a schedule I mean, my sleep schedule is always changing. Bye, Kitten. Sometimes I stay up all night. Recently, I've been staying up pretty late. But sometimes ideally, I would like to go to bed around midnight every night, but it just doesn't seem, it just doesn't work sometimes. Or even like last night, I was tired at like 2 and I started researching some rope, and then I started researching other stuff related to that. And then it becomes a rabbit hole. And then I know that I could probably go to bed. It reaches a point where my body feels tired, but my brain at nighttime, when I first wake up, it's hard to get my brain going good and strong again. But then I feel like once the sun goes down is when my brain starts like firing and I get into like research mode. And Kitten, are you gonna get back in my lap? Is that what's happening? You can sit right there too. Yeah, and then when I get in the good flow of like I'm researching or I'm start developing a new design for something or a good workflow or whatever it may be, I'm like, I don't want to just stop right now. I don't want to end this. Maybe I should, when I'm in a good flow like that at nighttime, maybe I should try to end it and go to bed and almost sleep on it and let it like sink in rather than riding the high or whatever of the late night like research session and just riding until I'm fully burnt out and the sun's coming up. Because I really hate the feeling of seeing the sun come up. Like I don't. If you wake up early and see the sun come up, that's different. But if you've been up all night, and like I said, I don't party or anything, but sometimes I just work and I end up staying up all night. And if the sun starts coming up, it not ruins, but I get that anxious feeling. I guess it reminds me of partying. That's really what it comes down to. It reminds me of like going to a music festival and for me, I wasn't treating my body as good as I probably should have. And then when the sun would come up, it's like it's that feeling of dread of like, oh God, the night's over. It's about to be hot outside. Just reminds me of Burning Man, right? It reminds me of like going to the burn and then you're having so much fun and then all of a sudden you see the sun start to come up and you're like, oh no. You're like, we've got an hour until it's 95 degrees outside. Yes, I just would like to go to bed earlier. I would like to go to bed at like midnight every night. That were 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. somewhere in that zone seems realistic. I feel like if I'm gonna go to bed at what time? Yeah, I feel like if I'm gonna go to bed, if I tell myself I'm gonna go to bed at 9, it's just not gonna happen. So I have to. I don't exactly know. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking coffee later in the evening too if I want to. Whatever. I woke up late today, so now sometimes it gets to the point where if I stay up all night and then I go to bed at like 7 in the morning and then I sleep until noon or 1 or whatever time it may be. Sometimes once I've hit the sun coming up, I'm like, maybe I should just keep staying up and then go to bed at like 8 o'clock tonight and try to like reset my schedule, right? If I like force myself, sometimes that's it. Maybe it's like I feel like I have to get so tired since I can't just go to bed at 8. I have to like go past 24 hours of being awake to go to bed at 8 or 9 to reset. That's also probably unhealthy. Maybe I should do some research to figure out how to go to bed easier. But anyways, what else, man? What else I got written down? Oh yeah, I have written down. People are always like, where'd you get that shirt? Where'd you get those pants? Not always. Sometimes I post videos and people are like, oh, that's a cool color combo or whatever. And I've realized that I like to reverse flex my clothes, right? When people are like, where'd you get that? I only buy something if I'm getting a good deal on it. Not always. Sometimes I'll spend like $20 on a pair of pants if it's like a dope color or they're just super comfortable or like I got some jeans the other day. I bought some jeans. I was like, I don't have any jeans and I wanted a pair of jeans. So I got a pair of jeans and they were like $16. That's not a lot, I don't think, but I usually only like there's the thrift store down the street. It's like a St. Vincent. Yeah, it's a St. Vincent. But all their clothes, all their shirts are $1. I think all their shirts are $1 and all their pants are $2. So I scored these corduroy. It's like this blue corduroy. They're Ralph Lauren. They're in the women's section. Whatever. I don't care. I'll wear women's clothes. I don't care. It was in the women's section. So if you're a dude or you don't typically shop in the ladies section, go into the ladies section and just look up what is like the women's size of your pants, and then that's where you're gonna find the coolest color combos. In my opinion, the coolest, like, I feel like those like pinks and kind of pastel colors, they're not typically found in like a male or a men's section of the store. Like, people will automatically put it in the lady section. But anyways, I scored these pants for $2 and they sell on eBay for like between 40 to like $120 depending on who and what size and what color, and you know what I'm saying? They sell for a decent amount of money. So that's what I like to do. That's what I say, the reverse flex. People are like, "Oh dang, where'd you get those pants?" And I'm like, $2 from St. Vincent. Like, that's the only sort of like, that's my form of bragging. It's like, I got them for $2 and they're worth this much money, rather than people being like, this. I know not a lot of people do this, but I feel like that's the standard, is like, my $200 shoelaces or whatever. I don't know. That's, yeah, I like to reverse flex the cool clothes I get. So typically I don't spend more than like a few bucks on an article of clothing. I think the most, I had that, I bought that Young Thug shirt that was like $16. It was like $20 after shipping, I think. But that was just such a cool piece of art. It was the album, the Jeffrey album, where he's wearing it's like the white and blue feathery dress thing. And then it was like a cartoon, like vectorized version. It was just so cool. It's in some of my clips. I'll post a video wearing it soon. But I saw it and I was like, man, that's just like, that's such a cool. It was like a random artist that made it too. It's not like official Young Thug merch or whatever, but it was just a random artist who, there's a bunch of versions of them too. But it was just some random person. And it was like a drop ship shirt. It wasn't like they're not screen printing them at home. It's just drop ship. But it's awesome. It was such a good. So that's the most I'll spend on an article of clothing. It's probably like $20. But if I can, I love the thrift store. Something's almost better when you find it at the thrift store. Because if you just have money, you're like, I'm gonna go buy. It makes it. It's like the hunt, right? I like even just hunting for cool clothes. I found a pair of Levi bell-bottom corduroys on eBay, and they were like, it was $25 shipped. That's what I paid for them. But I was like, man, I could, because they sell, no one else bid on it, and they sell on eBay. Often they sell for $100. The OG Levi corduroy bell-bottoms from 1971. And then I had a friend from high school who hit me up and knew that I search for vintage stuff all the time, because they see sometimes I make posts and I have the hella vintage clothing that I need to. I should actually probably put that on the schedule. I'm gonna start posting more to hella vintage clothing. But she hit me up and she was like, "Hey, I've been looking for a couple months ago." She's like, "I really want a pair of corduroy bell bottoms," and then she sent me like a photo, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna keep my eyes out. I'm gonna keep on the hunt." And then I found on eBay, straight up when I was looking on eBay, I found brand new with the tag still on it and everything. It's perfectly her size, and they were like $10. I was like, how do these? It's crazy how one person's trash is another person's treasure. Like, I've seen that exact item, same size and everything. I've seen it sell for over $100, and then it's just up there listed for $10, new old stock with the tags. There's nothing wrong with it. Free returns if something's. It's like, it just doesn't. I guess I just have it. Like, the hustle mentality is like burnt into my brain, and then my issue is because I didn't go to school for business. My major at first, when I first went to college, was business, and then I dropped out of college. Like, I don't like that word, dropped out. I stopped going to college pretty much after like 6 months of going to start things on strings, because I was posting videos and people wanted to buy poi. So it's been a learning process, but the like hustle mentality of like buying and selling, it almost like I can't get away from it. Like, it's just everything. Yeah, I really like taking trash and turning it into treasure. Taking one person's trash and seeing who else sees it as treasure. And yeah, vintage clothes are. I love vintage clothes. I take better care of them and I treat them better. Like I don't even know how old this shirt is, but this is my favorite shirt. I think this is probably my favorite shirt and my favorite pants. And I scored them both for like $2. I think this was $6, $5.99 at Goodwill. Reverse flex. Let me make sure it's still recording, so that would be a bummer if it wasn't still recording. Cool. What time are we at? 25 minutes. Okay. Here, Kitten. I'm gonna put you down. There you go. Yeah. So I've been on a like other hobby kick. I've been making music and I've been organizing and like refinishing the house. It feels so good to finish stuff, right? I've had all these projects in the house that are halfway done and it feels so good to like finally put the molding on the floor. Right? I need to get more molding, but there's a few spots where I finally put the molding in and I got the right nails for the nail gun. I got the nail gun and it's strong enough. It's crazy. Like when I first did all the floors, I didn't have any of the right tools, and over the last year I've been buying more tools to do different stuff around the house and for the yard. And then I ended up pulling all the floor out of my room and in halfway in the hallway. And then when I was redoing this floor, so I did this whole, my room, the hallway, I redid it all because I finally had the proper tools to cut the pieces correctly and to cut the everything. And it just feels so good to have it done the right way. Yeah, other hobbies, cleaning, organization. What else do I have written down? Well, I guess we'll get to the comments and the giveaway and stuff. Let's see. Let's go over to my channel. Click in my channel. We'll go to the video. Pause that. All right, let's see what the comments say. Patches says, I've been fiending for this content. That's awesome, dude. Heck yeah. I hope a bunch of people are actually... Seems like people are enjoying it. I'm going to keep doing it. I haven't... No one... Yeah. It's been great. Raymond... I won't say people's last name. Raymond says, mic volumes are much better. Thanks for a question. I've been wondering if you've ever burned your dreads. No, I've never burned my dreads. Yeah, I have. I burn my dreads a lot. Pretty much every time I spin fire, you're gonna burn them a little bit, but it's not, they don't like catch a flame. Like all these loose hairs will kind of fray around, but nothing ever like lights on fire because they're like dense. It doesn't fully light up a flame. It just kind of what is the word, chars it. It kind of gets rid of the loose hairs. Honestly, I've burned my hair. Yep. Ben says, do you have a VR headset? We should hang out in VR chat or something if we do. I don't, but my homie Patches does, and the dude who we're making beats that I make beats with, and then other half of two fellas, and I go to his, he's the one who showed me VR. That's what I was tripping out on. I've done it a long time ago when the Oculus very first came out. I did the Oculus where you end up looking like over the earth when you're in the room, and then every time you turn, the room is halfway smaller, and then it's smaller, and then all of a sudden you're in like a closet. And then you turn around and you're in space looking over the earth, and you like get all. So I did that one way back in the day, but this was the first one where you're actually walking around and interacting with people, and you can move your hands and you can throw the ball, and you're swinging. You're using the paddle ball, and so I don't have one yet. I probably will be getting one soon. Once soon enough. I actually don't even. I have no idea when, but yeah, soon enough. Just because it's gonna be. I think it's just going to be the new standard. I think, not even just me, it's not even just my opinion. I didn't even think of it all by myself. I've just from hearing about VR and using it, I think pretty sure it's just going to be the new standard. Like, why would we continue to use a flat platform when you can be in a three-dimensional space? And I bet you could even, pretty soon it's going to be like how for instance, to use the internet 20 years ago, you had to be plugged in. It was like a whole process. Your phone would turn off. And now you can just go onto your cell phone and use the internet for a split second and even have that going while you're doing, you know what I'm saying? It's like things evolve and it's not going to feel so invasive to do VR soon, I don't think. Because it is kind of a process and it feels you're very exposed. I can't think of the word. Vulnerable. Yes, you're very vulnerable having this thing on your face and being in another world. So it just feels interesting. But so I don't exactly know. But yeah, pretty soon I'm gonna get the VR set, and then for sure we can VR chat. Or I think I can go into VR chat without even having the. I'm not exactly sure. I'll hit up my homie about it. Someone says, do you think we will lose something of the human experience if we make a big shift into VR? Like the random encounters or enjoying things like movies and concerts with strangers. I guess if VR gets good enough, then going to a festival in VR would be the same as going to it in real life. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like we would lose something in that shift. I agree. I definitely agree. I think we're going to lose something in the sense of like back in the day before everybody had a video camera on their phone. When you'd go to a concert, you would have to just watch the concert. You'd be more engaged with the concert because you're not so worried about this like filming it for a future use. But then you can still have the experience of going to the concert without your phone. But who's gonna do that? Like, it's just so rare. So I think it's gonna be there. It's just gonna be such a convenience to use VR that it'll be like a very niche group of people who, yes and no. I think we'll lose something, but I think we'll also gain something. So I think it's going to be somewhat of a transition or an evolution maybe of what we currently know to be the human experience. I think the human experience is going to change as technology and virtual reality and that sort of thing continues to grow and get more developed. So yes, I do think we're going to lose something. I also think we're going to gain something. I think we are losing something and we are gaining something currently. Couldn't agree more that this is a perfect time for self-evaluation. It's been interesting seeing what people do with extra free time. I agree. Yeah, I feel like I've wasted a lot of time. But I've also utilized the time a lot too. But yeah, I agree. This is the perfect time for, I mean, you're sitting at home with yourself. You might as well start, if you don't like that your left arm is weak or your nails are too long, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of time now. A lot of people have a lot of time right now to fine-tune yourself. Maybe that's another way to put it. Instead of things you don't like about yourself or self-evaluation, you're kind of fine-tuning you're fine-tuning your best attributes. Dang, it's like I know words or something, huh? Yeah, and so I have some other questions written down too. Someone says, two fellas. Someone else was like, what's two fellas about? But they spelled it TWO, fellas with an S, right? Like two fellas. We're two fellas, TOO, fellas with the Z, right? It's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be a joke of like, if you've ever looked up beats on YouTube, a typical thing is a type beat, right? It sounds silly if you know what I'm talking about, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. So the reference I use because it's easiest, there's the group Migos, right? Migos. And you could look up Migos type beat. So technically you could say this beat is too Migos, right? It's too much Migos type beat. So we're two fellas. We're too much fella for this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a joke. It's also kind of a joke at like Tupac, 50 Cent. Like it's always a number and then there's always a number involved. it's just supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be, we're also two dudes, two fellas that are making the music, but it's just supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be a joke with like the English language is interesting with its meanings, and it's just catchy. Like if you hear it, you might. Here, let me reposition. It's just catchy. You hear it and you're like, two fellas. Then people are. So go onto Spotify and ask it to play, or go onto your phone, ask Siri to play Spotify, or ask Google or whatever. What motivates me to do tricks? Someone said about like the 100 tricks, 100 days. I ask myself that a lot too. Why am I doing this, right? Like, obviously it's fun. I like the feeling of developing something. I like the idea of thinking something's impossible and then finding out that it is possible by repetition. I like the adrenaline rush that comes from getting something on camera. I like the adrenaline rush and the dopamine kick that I get from posting something and getting good feedback. I like seeing a view count go up, and your view count is typically higher if the video has either a good shot or a good trick or something. Good content often results in good feedback. So that's if you just, you know, even if your background isn't good or you don't have an outfit or on a stage or whatever, if you do a cool trick that makes you want to watch it again, you're probably going to get a good reaction. You're going to get some form of, you can just say it's a good reaction, not even just some form of reaction. But yeah, a lot of things motivate me. I want to help progress what people know to be possible. Oh, can you hear her purring on the camera? It'll be an ASMR. How about that? It's half an ASMR cat purr. We just pull that a little bit farther. Yeah. Lots of things motivate me. Developing tricks. I really like developing tricks. I like having tricks to show people. I like having this trick bank in my mind of this weird thing, right? Poi is such a random, weird thing that most people, they see it and they're like, they have no idea what it is, why it is, how you do it, and they know nothing about it, right? And then it's just cool. I like having a weird skill. I really like being, I like being able to do something that's so weird and random and almost like a secret. Poi kind of feels like a secret. So when I'm doing a trick, or when I'm coming with a new trick for me in my head, it's like, it's almost funny. It's like, what's the point? That's half of it, is what's the point? What's the point? Because it's like such a small random thing, but it's kind of, that's entertaining within itself, is like, because it's fun. It is fun. And it's like, it's so interesting how such a simple thing, a ball on a rope, is so much fun and can be so entertaining. And then, like, look at what I'm doing with this ball and this rope. Like, it's just a trip. I have a lot of reasons, a lot of things motivate me. What poi do I use? I use 101 millimeter. I have a couple of different sets. For my 2 poi stuff, and from most of my 2 poi stuff, and a little bit of 3 poi, and all my 3 poi, like manipulation type stuff, I use a 101 millimeter head, and then I use a 3/8 solid braid polypropylene rope with a stubby knob. The stubby knob has 4 washers in it. The washers that fit like snugly ends up being, it's the size washer that fits over the 3/8 rope and fits into the stubby knob. So it has the inner diameter of about 3/8 of an inch and has the outer diameter of about, I think it's 7/8 of an inch, something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but it's the washer that fits snugly in there. And then I also have a double knot on the end of the rope, so it adds a little bit of mass to the stubby knob, but not too much weight. So you still have for me, it's what I like as the weight distribution in the handle, but then it has more knob, which adds a little bit of weight, but it mostly adds mass for your hand, so you're not holding I like the shape of the stubby knob, but I also like having a little bit of extra knob on the end, that it's not just the ball knob, but it's kind of like oblong shape, kind of like the ovo knob. It's actually it's very similar to an ovo knob, but it's just not silicone, and it's also tapered kind of the opposite. Yeah, I use a 101 with a 24 inch total, about 24 and a half inches total, including the knob, but not the two knots. It's about 24, 25 inches, 101 millimeter head, and then I use two washers on the inside on my personal poi instead of just the one standard that I use in the typical poi. I'm going to put out the typical poi that I sell. I'm going to put out my custom listing soon enough. I've been saying it for a long time. I just forget and I slack sometimes. I'm trying to be better organized. I am being better at organization. So I'm going to have my like pro model listing up there soon so you guys can buy exactly what I'm using for all my videos. But then I also use for juggling, for the last like 4 or 5 years, I've used 11 millimeter VPC. But I also really like just a standard static rope or even the 3/8 polypropylene rope for juggling. It really depends. It's all personal preference. But for me, I either use 101 with a 3/8 polypropylene solid braid rope and the stubby knob, or for juggling, I use either the 100 millimeter head with the washers. I actually use 3 washers in my juggling poi. Some of them. I have a lot of different sets of poi with the 11 mm VPC and the stubby knob with the 4 washers, but no knots on the end, just the 4 washers. But then I also have like 101 with 9 mil static rope and ball knobs. I have a lot of different sets of poi, but my main set that I use and all the clips that I mostly post of my 2 poi stuff, like the pink set of poi that has been in all the videos recently, is a 101 millimeter head with 2 washers on the inside. There's also the double knot on the inside, and then the 3/8 polypropylene solid braid rope, stubby knob, double knot on the end. 24 inches long, about 24, 25 inches long. That's my standard set of poi. And then for my fire poi, I have a lot of different Crispy Clowns poi too, but pretty much I use the Crispy Clowns teardrops for my there's no video out yet, but I just got all the new static Technora rope, which is so dope. So there's videos coming out soon. It's just I want it to be good, so I don't want to just put out a half-ass clip before it's all fully ready. But I'm gonna have a full-length video coming out with fire poi stuff, new poi from Crispy Clowns, and then I'll have clips that are going up soon. But then I also have, I think I probably have 15 poi from Crispy Clowns at this point. I have a bunch of teardrop poi that I've had for years and years and years, teardrop fire poi that just keep going. And again, I have a lot of different sets of fire poi. It really comes down to what you train with. It comes down to what you like and what you train with. There's certain things that might assist in certain ways, but it really comes down to how much you practice with one style of poi. That's what I think. A good beginner set, I'd say the ideal set of poi for someone who's never done contact poi and who's like spun a couple sets of poi here and there, I'd say just get 95 millimeter with 3/8 either cotton or polypropylene rope, depending on if you want something that's softer. Cotton's a little bit softer, and it's less durable than the polypropylene, or the polypropylene, which is more like plasticky feeling. And then either a palm grip or a stubby knob, whether you want a slicker knob like the stubby knob or the grippy palm grip. I usually suggest palm grip for someone who's brand new so that it's just easier to hold on to. The soft knob is also helpful for people. So 95 with 3/8 rope and a palm grip. 95 3/8 rope, palm grip, 24 inches long. Solid beginner set of poi. It's also solid set of poi for an advanced spinner. Like that will be a set of poi that'll last you indefinitely if you don't ever choose to get new poi, but that's a solid set of poi. That'll be a great choice if you've never spun poi at all. What is the podcast about? And will there be more guests? Yes, there's going to be more guests. With lockdowns, it's hard to get people out here and people are iffy on traveling, but I'm pretty sure the next guest we're going to have on is going to be Justin Hindi. It's just a matter of finding the time, and it's difficult right now. There's lots of specifics to figure out it's like, do we pay for testing before we do it so that people don't get upset? But I'm isolated. Other than I've literally just hung out with my homie Patches for the last like months. Other than I'm isolated out here, but I understand that it's that's what I'm saying. There's technicalities to it, so we have to figure it out before people just start coming on the podcast. Or I don't want anyone to get upset, and I also don't want to risk people getting sick, obviously. So there's technicalities to it. But the podcast is just about me. It's basically me bitching about shit. That was the other joking name, it should be called, bye Kitten. It should be called Chris Kelly Bitches About Shit, because it's basically half of it is me just talking, just ranting. Yeah, we've almost been going for an hour. Just ranting about stuff, and that's half of it, right? It's half the podcast is just me ranting. Some stuff related to Poi. I really like this questions part. The questions has really given me like a foundation of what to be doing during the episode. Yeah, this time has zoomed by. Are you a musician? Sort of. I wouldn't call myself a musician. I play music. I play a lot of instruments. I play guitar and bass, and I can make noise with a violin, to say the least. I can make the violin make noise like it's supposed to. And I understand scaling on a violin. Not that I can do it well. I understand how it works, and I can manage. I have a ukulele, and I can play instruments, and I recently have been freestyling more. So I guess sort of I'm a musician. Not really. I'm not like a professional. I've never been paid to play music. I've been in bands my whole life. I got my first instrument when I turned 10. I got a bass. My mom got me a bass when I turned 10. So sort of, sure. Yeah, I'm a musician a little bit. Mindset when building a routine or a performance. Okay, so if you're performing for random people that have no idea what Poi is, right? It's all about clean outfits, very clean, like classic outfit, suit, or very clean, crisp, tie, bow, or a dress, or whatever you decide, just whatever your outfit's gonna be, have it be very clean. And there's actually a lot of ways you can do it. Okay, here we go. For performing, for people that don't know what flow and juggling is, a good outfit. I recommend an outfit of some kind, right? Some kind of classic performer outfit. Something with glitter or a costume that relates to the act that you're doing or something along those lines. And then also it's very clean, big movements. This is for me in my mind. If I was going to do performance at like the casino, I would wear a suit and a tie, and I wouldn't do any tosses, maybe a couple tosses, and make it seem like so dramatic. Do a standard toss and like exaggerate almost missing it, and then you know what I'm saying? Just like everything's exaggerated. Everything is very exaggerated. For performing for random people is very exaggerated, whereas performing for, I'd be smiling a lot and looking at the camera and doing these poses, and performing for people who know what Poi is. If I go to a flow festival or a juggling event, and I'm going to perform, it's almost like I turn off emotions. For me, it's like turn off any sort of crutch for the act. Look good, obviously. Wear fresh, all black, or in my head, it's like either all black or the last act was like a cool. I actually really like that outfit, the nice button-up shirt and the white pants and the fresh Vans, but I only got that dressed up because it was for the IJA and it was there was a lot of like random not jugglers at that show. But if you're performing for jugglers, I don't think the costume is as important as the tricks you're doing. So I try to kind of turn off emotions and turn on trick mode. It's like do as many tricks as I can in a condensed amount of time as possible, and like almost don't allow them time to think about it. Have a few breaks in it, have a few applause moments, but I want them to be like, I want them to the end of it be not even remembering what fully happened. I just want it to be dense. I want my acts to be as dense as I possibly can. That's what I go for when I'm building a stage routine for jugglers and flow artists. Is I want my act to be full of relevant tricks from my recent content that I'm putting out. I don't want to repeat many tricks, but from performing for regular people or whatever you want to say, then it doesn't really matter what tricks you're doing as long as you don't mess up. Basically find your audience and then go from there. If your audience are drunk people in the casino bar or whatever it may be, then probably do some orbitals. Probably do an orbital. If you're performing for PoiCon, maybe less orbitals. You know what I'm saying? It really depends on your audience. So it depends on the audience. Adjust for your audience. What will festivals be like this year? / what do you think about virtual events? I think virtual events are great. I think same like we were talking about earlier, you lose some of the like excitement behind the human connection and stuff. But I went onto Discord the other night and we were doing the freestyle Discord, and it was so awesome. I've never freestyled in front of people, and I don't think it would have been as easy to freestyle in person in front of people rather than online. And then they're giving good feedback, and they're like, people are just getting stoked, and I'm like, dang, maybe I'm not like horrible. Maybe I'm not horrible. Like other people think I'm okay. It's crazy, and because I understand that like going to a flow festival for the first time, or a spin jam, or any sort of event, it's overwhelming because you've never gone. Everybody already knows each other. It feels cliquey. If you don't go with like a group of homies, basically, if you don't go to a flow festival with a bunch of people who've never gone before, you're at some point, not necessarily true, but I feel like at some point you're gonna feel like not left out, but everyone knows each other so well at these events, typically, that if you don't just like, not saying people aren't accepting. A lot of people will approach and be like, hey, I've never seen you before. How's it going? But you have to be willing to immerse yourself. Whereas a virtual event, it's a lot easier because you're hiding behind a screen. It's a lot easier to participate in stuff there's less risk for embarrassment. That's a good way to put it. It's easier to participate in stuff when there's less risk for embarrassment. And when you're online at a virtual event, you can very simply just be like, oh, I'm out, and then bounce out. You can even probably go under a fake name so no one even actually knows who you are. That could be fun. Attending a virtual event under a fake name. Not that I think you should do that. And then another one. I guess that was it. That was pretty much it. And then, what time are we at? Dang, this is another full hour, 53 minutes. This is a full episode again. That's insane. I never even took a drink of this. Okay, so the giveaway. We're going to do a giveaway. This set of 3 95mm stage balls. Glass stage balls. We have pink, fuchsia, green. Set of stage balls. All you gotta do is comment. Leave a comment. Subscribe. You have to be subscribed. Preferably you thumbs up the video. That'd be great. If you shared it, told all your homies to come. I'm probably not gonna share about the giveaway on Facebook because then it's more exclusive to people who actually want to partake in the podcast rather than just being for people who want free stuff. So if your homies, tell your homies, and maybe if the homies click on the video and they see there's a giveaway, they'll end up listening to some of it. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they won't. That's okay too. You don't have to like it. No one's forcing you to pay attention. But yeah, we're going to do some sort of giveaway every week. So there's these 3 juggling balls. Leave a comment, ask your questions, subscribe, and then next week, same thing. I'll go onto the YouTube video and I'll read through the comments. And if you don't want your name shared, you could say, or if you don't care if I share your name, I guess you can write it. I'm not going to say, I'll say people's like first name, but I won't say your last name unless you want me to, I guess. I don't know. I guess that part doesn't matter. Giveaway in the comments, leave a comment, whatever, preferably ask a question, and smash that like button, you know what I'm saying? and subscribe and tell the homies. And I think that's it. Awesome. Good episode, y'all. Episode 8. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. And I will see you next Monday. Oh, one more thing. I'm on Patreon. I have a new thing on Patreon where all I'm doing, there's only one tier. It's $5 a month and that's it. And you get a tutorial on Tuesday and you get a tutorial on Thursday. And you have access to all the history of tutorials until you decide not to. It's like a subscription. When you're subscribed, you have access to it. When you stop subscribing, you stop having access to it. Patreon.com/ChrisKelly110, just like my Instagram account. So we got Patreon. Go support it. It's only $5 a month. And giveaway in the comments. Leave a comment, whatever it is. Ask some questions. Press that like button and subscribe and tell the homies. And we will see you next week, y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.